Whispers Beneath Cold Earth, Part 2, The Unmarked Wake. New England, winter, 1792. The cold had worsened since Isaiah's awakening beside the black grave. Snow fell in ragged flurries, and the trees around the cemetery moaned beneath the leaden sky. Silas had taken to sleeping with a knife beneath his pillow. The boy, meanwhile, spoke not a word. He answered questions with glances, grunted when called, and sometimes stared into the fire until the logs hissed to ash. The grave, the one marked only by the crescent and spiral, had closed itself. No trace of digging, no disturbed soil, no bundle of bones. It was as if the earth had swallowed everything to hide the evidence, but something remained in Isaiah's eyes, a shine of fever and purpose, as though a sliver of moonlight had pierced his mind and now lived behind his thoughts. Silas watched him cautiously. He did not ask what Isaiah had seen. The boy wouldn't have answered anyway. By December, things began to change. Small noises in the night grew louder, knocking beneath the floorboards, breathing behind doors. Once, Silas found muddy footprints on the ceiling of the hallway. Another time, Isaiah woke to find the trees outside had bent toward his window, branches tapping lightly against the glass as if beckoning him. He found himself standing at the gate again, though he didn't remember walking there. The black stone loomed, waiting. "She called me," he whispered, the first words he'd spoken in weeks. The wind answered with a sigh, and he stepped back. Silas finally confessed what he knew. She was not born like other women. He told Isaiah over firelight. The midwife said she came into the world already weeping loud enough to split mirrors. Her name was never carved because her name wasn't meant for stone. He took a sip of something strong and didn't offer it. She was the 13th daughter of a farmer who lived where this cottage stands now. That field you plow? That hill of graves? All of it was his. He called her Misery, though no one else dared speak it. She never aged, not truly. And when the villagers tried to burn her, because crops failed and dogs howled at dusk, she smiled through the fire. Isaiah said nothing. He didn't need to. "You unearthed her," Silas continued. "She's awake now. She's watching." That night, Isaiah dreamed again. He stood inside a chapel with blackened pews. The walls were lined with portraits, not of saints, but of mourners. Faceless women clutching bleeding infants, blindfolded men cradling shovels. At the altar stood Misery, her veil lifted. Her eyes were infinite. "You called me back," she said. "Now open the gate." He awoke clutching the copper rod. He began to dig again, not at her grave, but beneath the other stones. Names like Ephraim Tatterley, Bessfield, and Judge Banning all long buried, all residents of the Hollow before the map changed and the name faded from record. Each grave he opened revealed less human remains and more relics, bone talismans, jars sealed with wax, tongues dried to leather and stitched shut with twine. He documented each one, cataloged them, arranged them around the hearth. Silas protested. "You're making a shrine," he spat. "You don't know what you're doing." But Isaiah smiled. For the first time in weeks, he smiled. "I'm remembering," he said. Snow covered the graves, but Isaiah still found his way. Misery whispered now through the trees, through the kettle steam, even in the crack of thawing ice. She didn't need to shout. On the eve of midwinter, Isaiah performed a ritual of his own making. He set 13 objects on the black stone: a fox's tooth, a jawbone of a child, 3 coffin nails, a doll's eye, and 8 other trinkets from the opened graves. He lit a candle made from grave tallow and read aloud from the note he found in the bundle. She was not buried. She was planted. Do not feed her name. Do not starve it either. When he finished, the wind died. All around him, the cemetery fell perfectly still. Then the earth beneath the graves began to breathe. In the cottage, Silas screamed. Isaiah found him kneeling by the fireplace, blood streaming from his eyes. The old man clutched at the air as if swatting invisible flies. "She's beneath the house," he wailed. Her wake never ended. He collapsed. Isaiah covered him with a blanket and left a lantern burning beside him. He knew the time had come. He returned to the grave. This time, the earth opened for him. Inside the hollow beneath the stone, the walls pulsed like a throat. Roots hung like chandeliers, and in the center of the chamber stood a bier carved from bones. Misery lay atop it, not asleep, not quite awake. Her hands were folded, but her eyes were open and bright as coals. "You were the first to listen," she said. "You are my wake." Isaiah knelt before her, and in that moment, something old passed between them, something older than blood, older than the hollow, older than the dirt itself. When he emerged at dawn, his hair had turned white. He stood tall. Silas was dead. The cottage was cold, but the graves were quiet again. For now. To be concluded in Part 3, Beneath the Hollow Sky.